Hey fantasy fans, this is Dan here with TreeBeard Book Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing Men-at-Arms by Terry Pratchett. Okay guys, well first thing I want to say before we get into this review, I'd just like to say, thank you for continuing to watch my videos, and if you like the content I'm creating, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you want to hit the little bell button just to get more notifications when a new video comes out. I do plan to come out with a video every Tuesday and Saturday, and so yeah, please keep watching, and we're going to continue here with this review. So, Men-at-Arms. So Men-at-Arms is the 15th book in the Discworld universe by Terry Pratchett, and it's the second book of the Ankh-Morpork City Watch. So again, in this review, it's going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm going to kind of really go over like the basic plot of the book with, like, says spoiler-free. What are the good points of the book and like why you should read it. So if there's negative points, maybe some things that I didn't like, or again, so this book was also like mentioned in my August recap video, which you can check up here, where I talk about what I was going to be reading for the month of September. So this was my first book for the month of September, and I flew through it. So let's get into the plot. All right, so let's discuss the plot of this book. So this book it's the second book in the City Watch, as I mentioned, and it's still commanded by Captain Samuel Vimes. But there's been some additions to the Night's Watch. So the Night's Watch has grown. It has grown by 3 members at the beginning of the book, where you're joined by Lance Constable Angwa, Lance Constable Cuddy, who's a dwarf, and I should mention Angwa is a female, the first female in the City Watch, and then Lance Constable Detritus. So these are the new members who join the Night's Watch, who join Captain Vimes' crew, alongside Colon, Carrot, and Nobby, and Corporal Nobby Nobbs. So what's happening in this book? So this is set, like, again, after Guards. So the city's been ravaged by the dragon and been saved by the City Watch. So the Guards have got a little bit more fame. They're a little bit more respected now in the city of Ankh-Morpork. So the Watch is, like I said, it's grown a little bit, and they're starting to really, act like a real police force. So what happens is, so a dangerous item has been stolen from the Assassin's Guild, and this item was, it was supposed to have been destroyed, but it was taken from the Assassin's Guild. And at the time, Captain Vimes is preparing for his wedding and eventual retirement from the City Watch, and looking for his replacement, when him and these new recruits, are faced with this item going missing. And so after this item is stolen, a series of murders start happening in Ankh-Morpork. So, as I mentioned in Guards, Ankh-Morpork is like the shadiest of shady cities. It really kind of kicks off because, these murders start happening in prominent places in the city, in the Beggars Guild, in the Assassins Guild, in the Fools Guild. And it's also, there was a murder of a very prominent dwarf. So this thing is like, the thing with murder in the Ankh-Morpork is there's a really fun quote I want to quote from the book, which I loved, and it tickled me sideways. And it really kind of explains this plot of why murder is such a rare thing in Ankh-Morpork. So the quote goes, "Murder was in fact a fairly uncommon event in Ankh-Morpork, but there were lots of suicides. Walking in the nighttime alleyways of the Shades was suicide. Asking for a short in a dwarf bar was suicide. Saying 'good got rocks in your head' to a troll was suicide. You could commit suicide very easily if you weren't careful." So again, like I said, these murders are a shock to the Night's Watch, and they know it's out of the norm, and it's really up to them to start investigating these murders and tracking down this item that was stolen. And it's such a great little adventure. It's got like this mystery where you're like, who's done it? Who's, who's behind these murders? What's this thing that was stolen? Um, oh, and like I said, it's just, we're gonna get into the good in this book soon, but wow, what what a, it's a very similar plot to Guards, where I guess this is a minor spoiler for Guards, where they're summoning the dragon to put to have a king come and kill the dragon and solve their problems. This is kind of a similar, little bit of a similar vein, where they want to, this thing that was stolen will, cause a king to be crowned. So it's such a good story where, you the one thing I was really hesitant about coming into this book and reading was the addition of these new guards. And I'm going to talk about this later. I really loved the four guards you had, like, Vimes, Colon, Corporal Carrot, and Nobby. Like, you love all these characters in Guards, and then you're like, I don't know, can they add to it? It's like, can they add to these characters, add to this group in this watch? And Terry did it, and man, did Terry do a great job. So I think that's a really good place for it to start talking about the good. Okay, let's get into the good. Holy cow, this book has so many good things to say about it. Like I said, I started this book at the beginning of September. I think I read it in 3 days. I could not put this book down. It was such an addictive book. And the first thing I want to get into the good was the growing of the watch. Like I said, I didn't think I would love it, like these new characters, but I loved all these characters that were added, like Angua. I'm not gonna spoil what goes on with Angua. Like, none of these, like I said, there's gonna be no spoilers here. But just Angua as a character, man, I loved her. She was so cool. Like, she was such a needed character to have that female presence in the watch. And she really rounds out the team, and she brings a lot to the team. Like, she's the smart one. Like, you can tell, like, she's really the brains of the operation, like, behind these men, like these foolish men who are in the watch. And she's like this sensible, smart, like, just a really, really good character. I really liked Angua. I really liked her dynamic with the rest of the watch, like with Carrot, with Captain Vimes. Yeah, loved her. So I guess the next one is Cuddy. Cuddy's a dwarf. I love dwarves, mainly because I look like a dwarf myself with the beard. And Cuddy was such a good character. He had a lot of heart, and I just loved him. Like, in his foil, which is Detritus, the other guard I'm going to talk about. So, this book has a lot of, like, serious elements that play on it. And I think if it did not have, like, these characters like Cuddy and then Detritus, it would really detract from the book. And you really need these characters. Cuddy was so good, and you love Cuddy at the end. Like, he's such a cute character, and he's so funny, and he's like a typical dwarf. Just love Cuddy. Like, such a great character. Really glad he was added to this book. And then Detritus. So Detritus is a troll. And, trolls come over as really dumb. And, like, Terry really does a really good job of, like, setting up how stupid trolls can be. And, like, Detritus, as he salutes, he knocks himself out. And they're like, Lance Corporal Detritus, and don't salute. So it was, like, super funny. I just loved everything with Detritus. But I loved his, him pairing with Cuddy, because this one thing this book really does great, and, like, I really wanted to talk about, was there's, like, this kind of background tensions between, like, the races going on of Ankh-Morpork, where the dwarves are angry at the trolls, and, like, they're all like, it's really like it really addresses the issues of, like, racism and stereotypes, and, like, not going with humans having, like, these preconceived notions or, like, stereotypes of what dwarves and trolls act like. And dwarves are sworn enemies of trolls, but now these two characters, Cuddy and Detritus, they have to break those bonds of their species, and, like, they're not seen as a troll and a dwarf. They're seen as watchmen. They are watchmen. So yeah, it just, Terry did such a good job, like, breaking down the barriers, and, like, even showing issues that we face in 2021, like, with racism in this world. And how back even in 1994, like, obviously probably more prevalent, but how he did it just with dwarves and trolls, and he talks about the issues of race, and you kind of come together as one under, like, this Night's Watch. So excellent. Just these new characters, they were so good. They brought so much to the table. And I loved it with these new characters. Okay, the next good is Carrot. Holy, this was Carrot's book. Like, hands down, Carrot shines as the main character in this book. Like, he just has significant growth. Like, because Carrot in the first book, and I think I mentioned in Guards, he's kind of humble. He's like a quiet guy. Like, he, he's just got a great head on his shoulders. But this one, you really realize how smart Carrot is. Carrot's like a really competent character. And I just loved Carrot. And like there's actually like I bookmarked some things in the book that I really wanted to, like, there were Carrot quotes that I really enjoyed. Um so I'm just gonna read the quote here because I really loved it. All right. It's actually a quote from Sergeant Colon, but it's him watching and admiring Carrot. And so Carrot's, kind of bluffing here. And I love it. I love it. So here, I'll read it. Sergeant Colon was lost in admiration. He'd seen people bluff on a bad hand, but he'd never seen anyone bluff with no cards. So it's just, keeps on going where, like, just shows that Carrot has grown. He's this really smart character, and he's just such a wonderful, wonderful character. And like I said, Carrot has really become, after reading this book, he's become one of my favorite characters. Like I always said, Nanny Ogg's my favorite character, just because she's hilarious. But I think Carrot, in terms of my like serious characters out there, is my favorite in the Discworld. Love Carrot. So I guess another good thing about this book is you just get to learn more about Ankh-Morpork and like this Discworld like that's on. Like you learn more about the different types of guilds, like the Assassin's Guild and the Fool's Guild and the Beggars Guild. So you really just get to dive into like it's so much world building, and you feel like you're walking the streets with the Night Watch in this book, and it's just you're right in it, and I love it. I love this book so much. I could not put it down. And like I said, I mentioned this book has so many like overtones of like racism and talking about race, and it was just so well done, and it wasn't done over the top, and it actually paid a lot of respect to to the issues that people face. And even though he did it with dwarves and trolls and humans, it's done masterfully. So big tip of the hat to like Terry here. Just a beautiful book. So let's get into the bad, if any. Okay, so let's get into the bad. Very minor bad in this book. Like I said, I love this book. This book was such a great little adventure. But some of the minor bads was there's a lot less Sam Vimes in this book. Like I really enjoyed the character of Sam Vimes, like Captain Vimes in the Guards. There's just a little bit less of him in this book. Like he's dealing with his marriage and getting married, and he's looking to retire, and he's kind of like said he's something happens to Vimes in this book where like again he goes into his depressive state, but there's just a little bit less of Vimes, and like Vimes is just like this wise old kind of sage of a captain, where he's taken all these guys under his wing, and he's got so many just great things, like just these one-liners, or just these like these sayings. Like he has a philosophy on boots, and it's so good. So a little bit, like I said, it's such a minor thing. Like Vimes is in it. Like don't get me wrong, Vimes is in it. It's just there's a little bit less Vimes, but like I didn't mind because this was Carrot's book in my mind. So like I said, a minor bad. And then the other thing, there was this other character, Gaspode. He's a dog. I'm not a huge fan of like talking animals all the time in books, and just this character, like I don't feel like you needed him. Like he did do some stuff with Angua, but it almost like he replaced Nobby in the book a little bit for me. So I don't know, like you missed a lot of the griminess of Nobby with like this Gaspode character. But like so, this is such a minor like character that I don't really think it detracted from the whole story. And I guess really to get into my final rating for Men-at-Arms, man, I love this book. It's such a good book. You need to read this book. And I'm going to give Men-at-Arms 5 out of 5 stars. I know I probably sound like a broken record with these Guards book, but I couldn't give it anything less. It's such a good book. It's so much fun. It really is, I love Guards, and if I was actually to put one in front of the other, I would pick Men-at-Arms over Guards. It's so good. It's such a fantastic little book. So that's my rating and my review for Men-at-Arms. So again, just thank you so much for watching my content and watching my videos. If you like what I'm doing, like I said, please feel to comment below and like maybe talk about things I missed or something you'd like to see in a future video when like covering the Discworld, because I plan to review all the Discworld books by Terry. So again, thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.